I have to say, I never have delved deep in any way, shape or form into Super Mario Bros. 3, even though as a child I did launch it once or twice on a PC emulator, and when I was living in Canada in 2011-2012 I did play a couple levels at a friend's house. But you know my general dislike for Super Mario Bros. 1 physics, and that sort of has seeped into a lack of desire to really try to engage with Super Mario Bros. 3. I'm not exactly sure why though, because the physics of Super Mario Bros. 3 are so much better than those in 1, and they fixed the biggest issue I had. Now it's not necessary to run to be able to do something or enjoy playing the game. Also, the new power-ups are pretty awesome. The Raccoon Leaf is particularly compelling since you can temporarily fly if you manage to run uninterrupted for a while. And honestly, soaring high into the air feels so liberating, adding depth to the otherwise mostly horizontal levels. I must say, playing Super Mario Bros. 3 for some time was more than thoroughly enjoyable thanks to these new mechanics, and honestly, the levels are great. Most of them aren't particularly long, but each is focused on exploring a single concept. And then the game tries its best to not repeat the same concept. There are some exceptions and also recurring themes like castle and airship levels, although even there the game tries to add variety. In general, there is a lot of creativity in levels, nice overarching world themes, I particularly like the giant one, cool object placement decisions, the sense of flow, a very impressive amount of enemies, various routes and choices you can make to complete the levels, and all of that is propped by awesome, striking and colorful visual design. I also really like what the game did with the space between levels. The overworld map is not just for level selection. There's mini-games to participate in, there are special power-ups that can be used only on the map to explore and uncover secrets. Look, you know that many of the older Mario games for me were just hit and miss at best, and Super Mario Bros. 3 is a game I don't have any qualms with calling unapologetically awesome. It's one of those cases where my opinion and popular opinion coincide. That being said, I want to prepare you for the fact that I am not going to put Super Mario Bros. 3 too high onto my existing list. I know, sounds really weird considering that I really don't have anything but positive things to say about it. Here's the thing though, after my initial excitement regarding the physics in this game has passed, I realized that at the end of the day there was nothing that was actually really clicking with me. To the point that when I reached World 2, I noticed I was playing in a much less careful manner and making a lot more mistakes because at that point I didn't really care that much. I suppose lack of proper saves given the size and scope of the game doesn't help. While there are modern ways to circumvent it, I usually try to not resort to those unless I want to fake modern console suspension to get back to the game later, which is exactly why I took advantage of save states for Super Mario Bros. 3. And even then, though I reached World 4 and was fascinated by the game as a designer, as a player, I just couldn't really care. I felt like I've seen enough and wanted to drop it. And honestly, if you ask me why, I wouldn't be able to say. But I just don't have the motivation to keep going. Like if you compare this to Castlevania, for example, there I had a drive to push on, even though I die far more often than in Super Mario Bros. 3. But here, I just don't really have that drive. I completed World 1, defeated a little boss, transformed the first king back into his original self, and yeah, I pushed myself as much as possible, but really, after World 1, I didn't see a reason to play anymore. It's not that I didn't have fun with what I did play, and if there'd been no choice of other games, I suppose I'd gladly keep going until the end, but I do have a choice, and I'm choosing to drop it. Sometimes one just doesn't really vibe with the game, even if it's really good, exceptional even. Because in terms of pure quality, Super Mario Bros. 3 is probably the best game on the ranking list so far. And look, I proverbially shout with as much respect as could muster on so many beloved classics that you know I don't care about pandering to the popular opinion. So if I say Super Mario Bros. 3 is the highest quality game I have played for this ranking so far, I do mean it. But this list is not just about quality, or it would have looked drastically different. My emotional reaction and engagement also matters a lot, and again, while I did really like Super Mario Bros. 3 at first, I just lack the drive to play through the game in its entirety. So I place it above Miss Pac-Man, but below Ultima. One could say Ultima is a far more rudimentary game, and sure, on a purely technical level I'd agree, but with that one, I had the drive to complete it. With Super Mario Bros. 3, I don't, which is also the case with pretty much every other game below Ultima one way or another, even those that I get hooked on for a while, so placing Super Mario Bros. 3 as the best out of them is the most fair I can be with this list. I think the placement combines well my analytical and personal thoughts about it.